let's call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Any changes to the agenda?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Motion by Josh.
Second.
Second by Kate. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone here for public comment? Got anything? Nothing? All right. Move on to consent. Anyone have anything?
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Kate, second by Gina. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No public hearings, no general business, so we'll jump to reports.
At a previous city council meeting, the council had discussed whether or not they wanted to take a look at what we should be doing ultimately with regards to the old PD building. And during that conversation, the council had indicated that it was supportive of establishing a committee to take a look at it. Staff and directed staff to bring the item back to council at a future meeting. So we've come back with a recommendation for a committee made up of city officials, 1 to 2 council members, a planning commission rep, a parks commission rep because it's facilities, representatives from the 2 organizations that we currently have lease agreements with for the property, possibly representatives from interest groups that might use the space, such as the fire relief, Lions, et cetera, and then up to one to 3 additional at-large citizens, and then the group would be staffed by 1 to 2 staff members who would facilitate the work, group activities, and provide technical input and support.
That's a big group.
That's a huge group.
Is that too many people?
It could be, in my experience with these more ad hoc groups, a few more people isn't a bad idea, especially if you're looking for stakeholder input. Also, you tend not to get full attendance at every meeting.
True.
So it is a little on the larger side. I wouldn't go any larger than this, and you could, rather than, 1 to 2 representatives of local organizations, you could go with 1. You could go with 1 at-large citizen. You could go with no at-large citizens. There's things you could do with the composition to shrink it up a little bit. It all depends on how much broader input the council would like.
What, do you have any vision for the structure of this group, like how it would actually function, or are you just kind of giving us a general update, or what do we do from here?
So if the council wants to pursue this, we would go through the process of basically recruiting individuals. The council would need to appoint their representative or representatives to the group. We would go and approach the Planning Commission and Parks Commission seeking volunteers. We already have 1 Parks Commissioner who's indicated they would be highly interested. We would approach Hope for the Community and the Elko Express to see if they have or are willing and want to provide somebody to participate in the process. With regards to local organizations, I think we'd be looking for some input from the council who you think might be a good idea. And then I think you need to let us know if you want at-large citizens or not. In addition, if you don't feel those individuals sufficiently represent the community, if we want additional at-large citizens, then I think what we do is do the old Facebook approach to seek interested individuals. Somebody's already heard about it. We had a call earlier this week from somebody who had a level of interest.
Interesting.
I like it.
Yeah.
So,
I think we should open it up to the community.
I agree.
okay. So if we're so directed, the council can decide who it's going to be when we bring back everybody else for ratification. So we'll move forward with the recruitment process.
Sounds good. All right, police.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. So nice to be here with coffee. Just a little staffing update. We have our newest candidate is scheduled for testing next week, the 8th and 9th. He'll do a psychological testing, medical and drug testing, and occupational testing. And he's indicated that Once we have the positive results, I get those back from Linda. If we get those, then we'll establish a start date, but he could be starting by the end of the month, which is very exciting news. He is so excited to get here. He wants to get here as soon as he can. Initially, he will be living in the community, which is also very cool with family, friends. So that's exciting to get them up and going as soon as possible. So by summer, we could have that person on their own. He does have almost 10 years of police experience with the Air Force and the police department in North Dakota. School resource officer, child investigations experience, which is huge. That's what he does there, child protection, all juvenile investigations. So that's very exciting because we don't have anybody with that level of training. So very excited about that. Yesterday, some news last night until I was testifying until about 9 o'clock at night at the Capitol in front of the Pension and Finance Commission. Reference the Minnesota Chiefs of Police were pushing for a pension change to try to stop almost emergency level evacuation of police officers out of the profession. So just trying to retain our law enforcement. Little history lesson, I was one of these. 30 years ago, Bill Clinton had a huge initiative in the early to mid 90s of 100,000 police officers across America to stem the crime that was epidemic that was happening across the country. So myself, I am known as a Clinton cop because I was hired under the grants, massive grants nationwide.
That nickname's gonna stick.
Clinton cop, yep. My whole career, that's what my chief and other people would say. So just my department alone hired 4 police officers. Chaska did in the mid to late 90s under that grant program. Well, fast forward 30 years, we're all at that age where we're hitting 50s and 55. I started at 23. So we're seeing a mass exodus of police officers across the state. As you have seen in the media and everything, if you think of law enforcement or any job as a pipeline, you want to keep the people coming into the profession equal to the people going out. Well, right now, there's 200, and as of yesterday, 279 job postings on the post board, with many of those multiple officers. Minneapolis last night, someone testified, is down up to 300 officers. If every single student in the law enforcement programs all went to Minneapolis, they still wouldn't fill their openings alone. So in order to try to slow that down, the people leaving on the one side, we're trying to get a pension program that would incentivize officers to stay past 55, work in your current law enforcement, and then start getting your pension while you're working. It's like retired on duty type deal. So to incentivize the officers to stay in their positions longer. So we're pushing for that, and we had people testifying. There's approximately maybe 1/10 of the people coming into the schools, into criminal justice programs, that are leaving. So in the next 3 years, the estimates are up to 2,400 law enforcement officers are going to be retiring. There's only 10 to 11,000 officers in Minnesota. So if you can imagine, and with only every year 100 maybe entering into that system, you can see where it could be catastrophic. So I was there testifying on why we need a pension program to incentivize law enforcement to stay, because right now our current pension is once you turn 55, it incentivizes you to leave.
Yeah.
And just leave the profession and take your pension. So it went really well, new experience for me. I'd never done that. So more to come on that. It's not funded right now, so we're looking at lobbying for funding.
How much? I'm sorry.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I was just curious how much. What's the fiscal amount?
I don't understand, and I don't necessarily agree with the actuarials, but they're saying about 16 million a year.
Oh.
And the director of PARA, the pension board, was there as well testifying, and the numbers as he described them, doesn't make sense to me, because if we all retire, and I'm getting towards that age, if we just left, our pension isn't funded anymore. We don't pay in, the city doesn't pay into our pension, so, and you're drawing your full benefit, I don't see how staying and getting your pension while you're working would make that huge of a pension deficit. But that's the numbers they're using, is $16 million annually. So, and then,
What are they doing about reaching out to outstate officers to draw them to Minnesota? Anything?
so post board, like North Dakota, this officer that we're hopefully hiring is coming from North Dakota. So there are people that are coming in, but what we're also seeing is officers leaving to go to states that don't have income tax or don't tax pensions. It's really hard because just our partners to the south in Iowa have this pension program. And that's why I brought this forward through the chiefs of police, because I see them down there staying from 55 to 60 is almost the norm in the fire and the police departments. I have friends that are doing that. So I tried to model that program, but also the state of Iowa, 3 years ago passed a plan where they don't tax state pensions. So to keep people in their state, as opposed to going to South Dakota, Florida, Texas, where there is no income tax. So they have that program down there, and it really works to keep people in the profession longer. And so that's the push for it. Post board will put ads out. Individual agencies that have large enough budgets, they'll send their representatives to other state job fairs, if you will, to try to attract people here, because Minnesota really does have, amongst the nation, some of the highest pay. And so that is attracting a lot of people. But it is, it's a nationwide epidemic. It's not just in Minnesota. We're seeing this across the country. Numbers are going down. There's regions that have upticks, but those tend to be in very, very pro-police environments, where they just feel like they're backed from their government. So, yeah, it's tough. So there is no concerted effort. We are, as the post board and as the chiefs of police, there are grants and programs to get education paid for, by the cities and by the state to get people into law enforcement. They're just very time-consuming grants that we can't even take advantage of, because we don't have the capability to just hire people whenever we want. So there's a lot of different initiatives. So the state's trying to get people in the pipeline. Our program is just trying to keep them from diving out the other end so quick.
What is the state's plan for follow-up on the pension plan? Because I feel like it's a great idea and it should have happened like yesterday.
So I'm not super, I know Tom's way better, and probably the other Tom is way better at the logistically how a bill goes to become a law, but it was laid over, and to continue on, it wasn't just killed, so more work needs to be done on it.
Okay.
So I think it was, if I remember correctly, laid over and pushed to further discussion.
Okay.
Right now, there's only $31 million that has been allotted to the pension commission to use, and right now, it sounds like that's gonna go towards a teacher's pension program. There's a dilemma there where there's two pension programs they're trying to fix, and so that money's kind of been earmarked for that. So there is no money on the docket for our program. But if it doesn't go this year, we're just trying to lay the groundwork for next year. So a little bit longer update, but very important stuff kind of hitting the law enforcement profession.
Anyone else have questions for the chief? Thank you for the detailed update. Engineering, I see Rich is online. He is muted, though. There you go.
Hi, just quickly, The Old New Market reconstruction project is scheduled to begin next week. They will start setting up erosion control and temporary water service and bringing in materials and equipment and reclaiming. They'll reclaim just the first 4 blocks. That would be St. Joseph Church, the east block of St. Mary, and the north block of Williams. We expect a couple days of activity, and then they have to wait and do some testing on the temp water. And then they'll start digging on the 15th, the following week. So that project's taking off, and we expect it to move fairly rapidly. Hopefully done maybe August sometime. The 2024 pavement rehab project is scheduled to start on April 15th, and that will move very quickly. They expect to be done with that based on their schedule by the end of May. And those are my updates.
Thank you, Rich. Community development.
We have an upcoming planning commission meeting at the end of the month, and we we're tentatively scheduling a public hearing for a preliminary plat north of City Hall here, property at the end of James Parkway, approximately 90 lots in that development, and also a public hearing regarding an application for comprehensive plan amendment that was submitted by RNF Properties for redevelopment of the Elko Speedway and the Elko Marketplace plat that I think you provided feedback on at the last council meeting. So moving forward with those, as well as Planning Commission is working on updating the zoning ordinance regarding detached accessory structures. Detached
Sounds
garages.
like a busy planning commission meeting.
Yeah, busy month.
Wow. All right. CCEC.
217 kids came to the egg hunt, and we have our meeting in a couple of weeks, so not too much news.
Is that number up or down?
It's a little bit down. It fluctuates a little bit too with spring break. It always happens at the same time, but how schools have their spring break, whether we're gonna have a bigger turnout or not, so,
It looked big. I mean, you guys did a great job
thanks.
from what I saw.
Thanks. It was fun.
Other reports, I don't have a scale update. Scale exec is Friday, and the scale general membership is a week from there, so unless you have anything for service delivery.
No.
I-35,
No, that must be, I'm trying to think, next week I think got canceled, but I'll check. It hasn't been since last meeting anyway.
all right. Discussion by council.
I have one thing. If y'all go into Facebook and find the Fire Rescue Days Facebook page and like it, and try to start sharing, we have out there a list of all of the activities and the timing, so if we get that shared, we're trying to get as much promotion going for that as possible, so people save the date. And then also, I don't know if you guys noticed, but it is what's it called, the Owl? The movie that was filmed here?
The downtown owl?
Downtown Owl. Yeah, that's coming out April 23rd, but if you watch the trailer, it's got little snippets of area around town, which is pretty cool.
That's
So,
cool.
just a heads up to keep your eyes open for that, it's kind of cool to see.
It shows that car that was driving downtown as they were filming with drones. I don't know if you remember how the city was shut down for that little bit. It's kind of cool to see that on.
Crazy Pinto. Yeah, so it's pretty fun, pretty cool, exciting. We're on the map again. More boys look out.
Exactly.
All right, that's all I got, sorry.
No, just a quick little update too on the cannabis stuff. So, been working with Senator Port on getting an amendment to her bill that she's moving through. Senator Port and Representative Stevenson are doing some updates to the cannabis stuff. I met with Senator Port on Monday, and she's open to the amendment, so she sent it over to Senate Council to look at, tweak, offer suggestions, and then potentially get it included in the Senate version, which we won't get it in the House version, but the House basically said, if the Senate accepts it, we'll accept it, and there will be no pushback. So Tom and Brandon have been super helpful getting information, reaching out to cities, support, and all that stuff, so we got things moving.
What is the amendment? Is it just gonna be a lottery or?
Well, so the way that the bills are currently written is to change the entire thing, because as they found out, the 2023 version isn't completely operational or functional or well-developed. So there was some fixes needed, so that is looking to change it to a lottery system. Now, there's opponents against that as well, and there's a whole bunch of concerns related to that, but the amendment we're proposing is just to give cities at least equal footing to SEA applicants, the socioeconomic applicants, and/or, be right there at the top and not get thrown into the lottery like all the other applicants. So that cities could choose to participate if they want to.
Right, okay, thank you.
Any other items?
Just, if you didn't see the Facebook post last night, we were again named the 4th safest city in Minnesota. So that's 6 out of the last 7 years we've been in the top 4 in Minnesota. So,
Just glad we beat Corcoran.
What do you got
I
against
don't even
Corcoran?
know where
They
that
beat
is.
us.
they've edged us out the last few times.
Where is that?
What's that?
Where is that?
It's not far from Plymouth, where
I was thinking Monticello.
Northwest up
I
off of
am from
55.
Minnesota.
Hennepin County, northwest corner, Hennepin.
Okay.
I've already sent their chief,
Good.
nasty.
Anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Josh,
Second.
second by Kate, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting's adjourned, thank you.